So to the Etihad then. Manchester City at home to Wolves. Team news. Traore and Vinagre were in for Wolves. Just a shuffle of the pack after Europa League. For City, Walker and Caneglo were in at fullback. Mendy hamstring out again. And the usual shuffle that Guardiola does with his prolific squad. Into the action then, and Wolves on the counter-attack. In the early stages, they had 3 reasonable chances. Troy put through, and he's fed Catroni, and the effort was pushed badly wide, unfortunately. Then a second chance for Jimenez, linking with Catroni, and forced a save from Edison. And then the third was a good chance for Jimenez, but he slipped at the crucial moment. After that storm at the beginning of the match, the game settled into a usual pattern with City pressing forward, holding the possession, and basically we didn't see too much work for Patricio in the first half, but goalless at the break then. After the break, David Silva was fouled just outside the box, and the free kick hit the bar from Silva. There were constant sort of efforts by City with blocking and tremendous defending by the Wolves defence. Doherty and Johnny came on to make the defensive unit even more sturdy. Bernardo and Jesus were brought on to try and break the deadlock, but Wolves' defence was absolutely terrific. They were so strong, and it became more and more frustrating for the City elite. I think they were sadly missing De Bruyne, who had a slight injury. And then on the break, on 80 minutes, a great move from Jimenez, who really showed his class, and then he put in Traore on the right side, and he's pacey, and he ran into the penalty area, and he slotted the ball neatly into the corner, with Edison having no chance. After that, more frantic work by City. Jesus worked Patricio, who pushed the effort round the post. More terrific blocking by Wolves. The chances, half chances at best, were constant. Aguero came on, but his effort was scuffed wide. And then, in added time, a defensive blunder in Wolves' half enabled another counter-attack. The same to Jimenez, who managed to pass the ball perfectly to the running Traore, and Traore completed his second, almost identical to the first, an absolutely sweet, cool finish in the corner, and Wolves were ecstatic, and the final whistle signalled the second defeat of the season for Manchester City. So, final score at the Etihad, a delightful Nuno Espirito Santo's Wolves winning the game by 2-0. Sunday's fixtures then. Arsenal at home to Bournemouth at the Emirates. Solanke and Wilson were up front. King in the hole, just behind them. For Arsenal, Kabilas was in from the start. Lacazette still injured with that ankle problem, and no Ozil, not even on the bench. Must have been a very disappointing 45 minutes for the Cherries coach, Eddie Howe. Bournemouth were, to say they were disappointing was an understatement. Let's get into some of the highlights. 2 minutes in, nice interplay by Arsenal, and Guendouzi's final touch
not good. But it set the stall out for the half, really. 5 minutes, Aubameyang strike. Wasn't too far from the far post, but nobody going in to challenge him. Then a few minutes later, Louise header glides in at the far post from a Pepe corner. Again, very poor defending. So on the back foot already, Bournemouth chasing the game 1 down. They were playing almost with an air of inferiority complex, and it really never got any better. Arsenal were running the midfield, they were getting down the flanks, they were playing a high press. Bournemouth just couldn't get out of their half, and the pressure was just going back on the Bournemouth defence. Aubameyang looking sharp, and Pepe down the right flank having lots of opportunities, working well with Chambers. And it really was surprising that Arsenal didn't double their lead by the break. The odd little escapade upfield for Bournemouth, but generally speaking, the Arsenal totally dominant. So to the second half then, and right from the off, Bournemouth were much more urgent. Their passing was much quicker, and it became a real contest. And they had an early chance when great work from Callum Wilson in the box. He rounded one of the defenders and tried to go round the keeper, but that left him with too tight an angle, and his cross was easily cleared. But really, he should have shot earlier. But it was a warning to Arsenal. And a further chance for Stacey on the right flank forced Leno to push it away for a corner. And as I say, much more competitive. Arsenal, on the other hand, their midfield dominance was lost, and all the action really was up the other end. Callum Wilson particularly looking a real danger, and King also supportive, and Arsenal really became quite predictable. And although Emery ran the changes with Martinelli coming on and another couple of changes, Pereira, they just couldn't get that sort of dominance back. Aubameyang did have a chance on full time that he should have punished some sloppy defending, but really Fraser came on for Bournemouth, and it would have been quite a reflection on the play if they'd got the equaliser. But as so often happens with Arsenal, they managed to wriggle to the finish line, and they kept their 1-goal lead, and that's how it finished. Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 0. Arsenal now in 4th.
To St Mary's then, Southampton at home to Chelsea. Long was up front with Ings for the Saints. Hudson-Odoi, first start for Chelsea in the Premier League. First minute then, chance for Southampton. Redmond from distance, a fraction over the bar, but a warning to the Chelsea back four. But it was Chelsea who then took over. On 17 minutes, a delightful ball chipped over by Hudson-Odoi found Abraham. He was a bit too quick for the defence, and the keeper came out to smother it, but he managed to chip the ball over the keeper's head. It was a perfect delivery. It landed right in the middle of the goal, just over the line, even though Yoshida tried in vain to clear it off that line, which he succeeded, but the goal was given. So Chelsea won up, and 7 minutes later they doubled their lead. Some nice interplay, Willian linking with Jorginho, who then set up Mount, and he needed no more invitation. He slotted the ball wide of Gunn, and that was 2-0. And Abraham then set up Mount again. He should have made it 3, but his shot went wide. So 2 up for Chelsea, but then on 30 minutes, Valery managed to run into the box, and his swift cross managed to get to Ings, who stuck out a left leg, and it crept over the line, and Saints were back in it, 2-1. Didn't last for very long, that resurgence, though, because Chelsea back in control on 40 minutes. Kante, who got onto an Alonso cross, hit the ball from just outside the box. It took a wicked deflection, but it went in, and that was 3-1 Chelsea at the break. Into the second half then, and Odoi was looking quite threatening, but Batshuayi came on and Pulisic came on. Lampard having lots of options on the bench to freshen things up, and it was Batshuayi who managed to link up with Odoi and slot in the fourth between Gunn's legs, and that was in the last minute, and a comfortable win for the kids at Stamford Bridge. They're really blossoming under Lampard. Lampard must be extremely pleased with what he's got. So a good day at the office for Chelsea. They won this game by 4-1. Hasenhüttl got a few problems at St Mary's.
So, final match then of the week 8. Newcastle at home to Manchester United. Well, what can we say? Team news: no Pogba, no Lingard. We had Tungjazi in the centre of midfield because Lindelof got a back injury. Newcastle, Matt Longstaff was selected alongside his brother Sean, which was quite a significant moment. No Shelvey, he's still injured. Both sides desperate for a win. There was a problem in the tunnel apparently before the match between opposing players. It was noisy, wet and miserable, the conditions, and I have to say after 45 minutes nothing had changed apart from the fact that it was quiet, wet and miserable. Early chance for Almiron, shot blocked, still waiting for his first Newcastle goal. Saint Maximin on the left wing from Newcastle was causing Dalot some problems, but even though the best chances came to Newcastle, but the possession was all United's. But the midfield, well, they just lack so much creativity. It's all sort of across the park, negative. I noted that there was more back passes than any forward. It took nearly 40 minutes before United had a shot on goal. In that time, Shah should have converted from a good move on 28. Matty Longstaff on his debut hit a great shot which deceived De Gea and clipped the bar, and as I say, Almiron was looking threatening, but for United very little. Rashford hardly got a touch. There was a chance for United just before the break when a corner from the left and Maguire on 44 minutes Maguire free header, no one near him, 3 yards out, and he managed to head it wide. How he did that, I'll never know. It was almost relief when the whistle went for half time. So first half then goalless. And as the players came out for the second half, I thought I'd give myself a reminder that Man United had Fred, McTominay, Mata and Pereira in midfield, with James helping out. I had to remind myself because although they seemed to have the ball a fair bit, they'd done nothing with it. So to the action, 55 minutes, Carroll came on for Newcastle, which got a big round of applause. He came on for Joe Linden, who picked up an injury. And then a couple of minutes later, we got a good cross from Pereira, but James just couldn't get to his head to it. So again, it just went behind. After that, Roja come on for Dalu. Dalu had a nightmare against this guy. I can't pronounce his name. Let's try it again. Saint Maximin. So it was with some relief that he disappeared from the action. Although action is probably an overstatement. And what happened to creativity? Newcastle weren't much better, but at least they were trying to take the game to the Red Devils. Anyway, Carroll had a header goalwards, but it was just over on 64. Then Mata was replaced by Greenwood. I had forgotten that Mata was playing, actually, to be honest. Half chance for United a few minutes later, but it was snuffed out pretty easily. And then James, a couple of minutes later, his cross was looking for Rashford, but Shah nipped in and ushered it away to safety. And then finally on 71 minutes we had a little bit of pure class, a little bit of action, and it was the young boy on debut, Matt Longstaff, after United made a right mess of it, caught on the break. Eventually it came to Longstaff and he smashed the ball into the net, the hair nowhere, and Newcastle were 1-up and the crowd erupted. It was a nice layoff by Williams to the said Longstaff. So their family will be cock-a-hoop, the young boy debuting with his older brother, and now he scores the goal. Well, I have to confess that was the winning goal. After that, there was little response really from the United. They just didn't seem to be able to put 2 or 3 passes together, and when they did, it was all backwards. It was a blessing when the final whistle arrived, and United, their 3rd defeat of the season in 8 games. They've only won 2 games. I'm trying to work out. 2 games, and drawn 3 and lost 3. Dreadful start. Solskjaer could well be on the way out. I just can't see him surviving. He just hasn't got the skill set. He's too young. He's got a lot of genuine love for the club, but that doesn't win football matches. I still remind myself that why they got rid of Mourinho, because of that man who wasn't even on the pitch today. Yes, he is creative, he is talented, but he is a poison chalice. I'm talking about Paul Pogba, and if I was the director Woodward, I would ring up Mourinho and say sorry and ask him to come back and rescue this
sinking ship. As for Newcastle, well, a good result for Steve Bruce. So they're looking on the up. But anyway, that's my report on what was a dreadful affair here. I watched it on Sunday night, and I'm a passionate supporter of this football club, but what we're seeing is almost the end of any self-respecting United fan would be looking at this and wondering, where are we? Final score there, Newcastle 1, Manchester United 0. So that's the end of match day 8. City's defeat means that Liverpool on 24 points now are a long way in front. I think it's 8 points in front of Manchester City, and Arsenal into third. Manchester United are down to 11th. At the bottom, Watford are still propping everything